Hello dear viewers, welcome to Conflict Zone YouTube channel. In today's updates from the Oriiv and Avdiivka directions, Russian forces launched sudden waves of attacks. In the Oriiv direction, the Ukrainian eastern group of forces reported successfully repelling a Russian attack. The assault involved a significant number of personnel, around 30 tanks, and armored fighting vehicles. This aligns with various Russian claims about a renewed offensive in the region. Geolocated footage indicates that Russian forces extensively used cluster munitions to prepare for their assaults. Subsequently, they sent assault units one after another, prompting disorderly responses from Ukrainian forces. Drones and anti-tank guided missiles were employed by Ukrainians to target these assault units, leading to a breakdown within the Russian forces. The situation worsened for the Russians as their attack involved outdated tanks, aged 80 years old, with poor anti-drone protection and weak hull and turret armor. Russian military analysts attempted to portray this offensive as a reconnaissance-in-force operation, but the suddenness of the attacks after the collapse of the front line in Avdiivka suggests an attempt to exploit potential unpreparedness on the part of Ukrainian soldiers. Some Russian sources prematurely claimed success, stating that their soldiers had entered the village simultaneously. Others cautioned against hasty conclusions, noting that those who entered the outskirts were merely lucky to find shelter after surviving the disastrous attack. Ukrainian releases of videos showing surrendering Russian soldiers supported this perspective. Turning to the Avdiivka direction, the recent Ukrainian withdrawal boosted Russian morale, leading to attacks on the next Ukrainian defense line across the river. Ukrainian forces are deliberating on the sense of holding defense in the four settlements on the other side. Russian forces aim to exploit this uncertainty and break through Ukrainian defenses using small infantry groups for assaults. The Ukrainian command, in response, deployed fresh units to counterattack Russian advances and create an evacuation corridor for withdrawing Ukrainian units from Avdiivka. The Institute for the Study of War suggests that these newly committed units can establish and hold defensive positions against Russian forces degraded by their assaults on the town. Imagery indicates Ukrainian forces preparing good defensive positions west of Avdiivka, attempting to maintain momentum. Russian forces, shifting tactics, started using air-dropped bombs similarly to their tactics within Avdiivka during the battle. They temporarily established limited and localized air superiority, providing ground troops with close air support. However, as the front line shifted westward, Russian fighter bombers needed to get closer to the contact line, resulting in significant losses. Ukrainian forces reportedly shot down 5 Russian fighter aircraft, including 2 Su-34s and 1 Su-35. The Russian Ministry of Defense, in reluctance to admit Western air defense systems capabilities, attributed these incidents to friendly fire accidents. Speculation arose about whether there was an unusual amount of friendly fire, with some analysts suggesting increased Ukrainian air defense systems covering the withdrawal. Regardless, Russian infantry continues pushing to collapse the area in front of Avdiivka and push Ukrainians behind the river, raising questions about the next phase of the Russian offensive and Ukrainian strategies to counter it. The Institute for the Study of War suggests that the recently committed Ukrainian units have the capability to establish and maintain defensive positions against Russian forces. These forces have been degraded by their assaults on the town, and it is standard practice to bring in reinforcements to act as a receiving force. This allows withdrawing units to reconstitute behind prepared defensive positions. Although detailed imagery is not provided to preserve Ukrainian operational security, it is mentioned that Ukrainian forces have prepared effective defensive positions west of Avdiivka, aiming to sustain momentum. Russian forces altered their tactics by using air-dropped bombs, mirroring their strategy inside the town during the battle for Avdiivka. This shift allowed Russian forces to temporarily establish limited and localized air superiority, providing close air support to ground troops, an unprecedented move in Ukraine. However, as the front line shifted westward, Russian fighter-bombers needed to approach up to 10 kilometers closer to the contact line to reach the next defense line. This strategic miscalculation proved fatal for the Russians, resulting in a significant loss of aviation. Ukrainian forces reportedly shot down 3 Russian fighter aircraft, 2 Su-34s and 1 Su-35, 2 days ago. Initially, Russian sources denied these claims, but the Ukrainian Air Force commander posted satellite data confirming the downed planes. Today, 2 more fighter bombers were shot down, bringing the total to 5. Unlike the previous incidents, there was no speculation about the destruction of the jets, as local residents captured their last moments on camera. The Ukrainian Air Force commander once again posted satellite data confirming the destruction of the planes. Notably, the Russian Ministry of Defense, in reluctance to admit the capabilities of Western air defense systems, attributed these 5 events to friendly fire accidents. Even Russian sources began questioning whether there had been an unusually high amount of friendly fire recently. Some military analysts suggested that Ukrainians brought in more air defense systems to cover the withdrawal, while others claimed that Russians failed to consider the changed frontline dynamics. Despite these challenges, Russian infantry is persisting in pushing forward, attempting to collapse the area in front of Avdiivka and force Ukrainians behind the river. The crucial questions revolve around the potential collapse of the front line, the next target of the Russian offensive, the immediacy of launching this offensive, and where Ukrainians can effectively halt the Russian advancement to kill the momentum. These questions remain pivotal in understanding the ongoing dynamics of the conflict.